The Creative Habit, Bringing Creativity into Everyday Life, brought to you by West Grey Public Library. Session 5, Creativity Exercises for Fluency and Flexibility. Ideas are like rabbits. You get a couple and learn how to handle them, and pretty soon you have a dozen. John Steinbeck. Flexibility is to embrace different viewpoints and alternative ways to do things. Pearl Zhu, Quality Master. What do we mean by fluency in the context of creative thinking and problem solving? Fluency is one of 4 characteristics generally assigned to creative people in this context: fluency, flexibility, originality, and elaboration. Fluency is the ability to generate lots of ideas. Many ideas equals more options. More options give you more possibilities. More possibilities for piggybacking, so attaching another idea to this to make it stronger, or more ideas leading to yet another idea, so a greater possibility for novelty. And it also allows you to hitchhike on an existing idea, so take that idea into a brand new direction. When you can generate a large number of options, you can also look for connections between 2 apparently disjointed or unconnected ideas, and again, strive for novelty or strive for greater relevance. In this case, you're always striving for quantity, not necessarily quality. And you may find that when you generate a lot of ideas in a short amount of time, many of the ideas sound similar when you first examine them. Flexibility is the ability to convert something familiar to something novel. And that's why when you can connect, piggyback, hitchhike ideas, you can often create something novel or more appropriate. So flexibility, in other words, is the ability to look at something from a different angle or a different point of view, shift to a different viewpoint or a different direction, or even a different time. It's just putting yourself in someone else's shoes. So how do you get there? First of all, a lot of studies suggest that a positive mood makes it easier to generate many ideas. That positive mood also makes it easier to combine or piggyback ideas because you're more relaxed when you're in a positive mood, generally speaking. Your brain is freer to be playful. You're getting out of your own way a little better. The second way to get fluent and flexible is to accept ideas and model acceptance with others' ideas. So accept any response, particularly if you're in a session or a situation where you've asked for ideas. This is a way to remove the fear and the fear of failure from other people and for yourself, so that the risk is only marginal. Most people shut themselves down when they feel fearful. They are protecting themselves. That means that it's very hard to take any kind of risks with novel or edgy ideas. So you accept the response with a yes and, which is a suggestion that you accept it and you can build on it. You really strive to avoid any yeah but responses or any of the other negative responses, both verbal and nonverbal, that we have really been encouraged to develop. Shaking our heads, pursing our lips, looking away, turning away, gestures of no. Those are all yeah buts, even if you don't say it. So your goal in any forum where you're trying to generate ideas or solve problems is to accept, and build where you can. The next is to defer judgment. We are taught from a very young age to act as critics. We are looking for the flaws, we are looking for the ways around, we are looking for ways to say no, and we're looking for ways to say yeah but. In this case, you're looking at the moment of a picture of a pair of shoes in the fashion world. They're very easy to criticize, they're easy to mock, they're easy to turn away from and generally say they're not useful. But when we're looking for original ideas, something different, something novel, something breakthrough, even if this isn't the final result we're hoping for, we need to allow that path to unfold so that we can get to a place where we're getting the ideas we really want. We're getting those little gems or the combination of gems that we can put together. So in any kind of brainstorming or creative problem solving or creative thinking situation, deferring your judgment is the single best way that you can allow those ideas to start to flow, whether you're alone or in a group. Judging your responses while generating the ideas kills fluency. It increases risk, it increases embarrassment, increases fear. So instead, accept all the answers, capture them wherever you can. That's why a lot of people use Post-its in idea generation sessions. Write them down if you're on your own, and then sort and eliminate responses after you've finished generating ideas. You can't think big and think small at the same time. And for most of us, there's a comfort in knowing that it's not forever. You'll be allowed to judge them, just not right now. And then another element to consider is to practice. So generate large numbers of ideas regularly. Go past the first right answer. Some research suggests that we can't even formulate a good question until we've done 8 seconds of brain work to come up with a good, meaningful question in an academic setting. So generating a large number of ideas is something else that needs that sort of time and energy and focus. Practice using other points of views. First, you can start with objects. So it could be something as simple as, how can I use this glass? How else can I use this glass? Or how do I open this door and leave it open? And come up with a large number of ways to do that. The other thing that you really need to do in your practice is ensure that you are actually solving the right problem. If you're trying to solve the problem of catching more mice, it may not be that you want a better mousetrap. It may be you want a floor made of cheese. So to practice these things, here are the quick and dirty options for this month. The first thing is to generate solutions for an everyday problem. So pick one. How do you get everyone to the dinner table on time? How do you fit more towels into your linen closet? How do you get the cat to come in and stay in? Those kinds of problems are simple, practical problems, and the world will not shift if you get a great solution, but your world might shift. So figure out the problem. You can use a how-to as the first part of a problem when you're trying to define it. So how to get the cat to come. How to get everyone to the dinner table on time. How to make sure no one uses their phone at dinner. The other idea is to generate ideas using a common object. So how many ways can you use a brick? In consumer groups in the 80s and 90s, a lot of consumers were being recruited for in-depth focus groups. That is, not just a general opinions, but focus groups that actually generated ideas. And recruiters would use that kind of exercise, how many ways can you use a brick, for example, as ways to screen possible participants, because those who could come up with something other than build a house. The weirdest one I ever heard was how to castrate a bull with 2 of them. That would be a person that they could rely on for having lots of ideas and being flexible in their use. Your jumpstart options, which take a little bit more effort and time and preparation for this month, are try the Torrance test. Torrance test is developed by Paul Torrance, who was a sort of creative thinking guru from the end of the last century. And these tests were simply to see how people not just came up with ideas for using the scribbles that he created, but also how they told a story with them, how elaborate were they, how detailed, where did the person go with them. So in this case, you can try the images that are here on the screen and complete the picture. You can see at the bottom, there were a couple of people online that created this, went through this exercise. So the one on the left created an eyeball looking out at an angle, and the other created a tipping water glass. You can do anything with them. You can see what you see. You might see either one of them could be made into an animal or a fish or an alien creature or a landscape or a building, but you're trying for rich imagery and implying a story. So a glass falling actually implies a story. Something's happening in the picture. A lot of indications of creativity are in evidence when you use humor or if you use fantasy. The other piece is a classic exercise that was used very commonly in corporate North America as well as in academic settings, and it's the 30 circles exercise. You give yourself 3 minutes on the clock. You've got 30 circles, exactly the same kind of circles on your page. And when you set the timer, your goal is to fill in as many circles as you can before the time is up. And you're striving for quantity, that is to complete as many circles as possible in the 3 minutes. For a deep dive option, that is something that will take a little bit more engagement and involvement. And the first suggestion is impossible things. So identify two objects, two random objects, and combine them to form a new invention. In this way, you can also use as much detail as you can so you can practice elaboration as well. So you're getting flexibility and fluency, but you're also getting elaboration. So, and in this case, in many cases, you'll be using practicing originality. Most people wouldn't think to combine a banana and a chair, but you can do it. And then the other is 10 in 10, so use 10 minutes to come up with 10 potential solutions to a problem you've identified. So if you're still trying to get that cat in the door, it could be a real life problem, or it could be a fictive problem, something that will never really come up in your life, but is fun to contemplate. For many of us, the idea of creative thinking and using some of these exercises becomes a leisure activity. It's fun. And that's human beings like doing this stuff, a lot of us. There's one more here, and this was very, very extensively used in corporate and in other business applications, and it's called Scamper. And Scamper is an acronym for the words you see on the page. You take the problem that you're facing. A prime example that was a classic example that was given for Scamper use was McDonald's and some of the steps they took to streamline and reimagine the whole fast food industry. So you can look at substitute. If you look at that, then maybe if you're looking at French fries, you're looking at replace a thing or a concept with something else. So perhaps you're looking at substituting a different food for the potato, or perhaps you're looking at a different form of frying the foods that's faster or cleaner or less wasteful or more sustainable. Combine. What can you unite? What can you put together in unusual ways? What kind of materials? What ideas? Who could combine? So you might put health professionals from different disciplines in one team in order that they can diagnose or treat patients more effectively and more efficiently. Adapt. So adjust something to a new purpose. You might reshape it. You might tune it up. You might modernize it. So we have many examples around us when we look even at technology, because we've adapted, for example, our telephone from a device that's sitting on a table with a coil attaching it to a wall and is used to answer a person trying to reach us, to a computer that's in many ways powerful enough to support space travel. Modify. That's changing the color or the sound or the form or the size or the way it moves, making it larger or stronger or thicker or smaller or lighter or slower. So it's how you modify, and this is often the basis for many line extensions when you're looking at branding. Coke, Coke Zero, Coke Plus, Coke Classic. Most of them had modifications from Coke Classic in order to attract a new audience. Put to another use. So, for example, a Post-it originally would have been a notepad. When it was modified by having removable adhesive put on the back, it was suddenly not just a notepad, it was a bookmark, it was a flag, it had many other uses. Eliminate. So in some cases you want to get rid of something, cut it out or simplify it or just leave it behind. So that's often used for saving money on production. So you might be accustomed, say 10 years ago, to having ketchup and salt with every order of fast food you ever got. And at one point, most of the fast food manufacturers or producers decided to eliminate the automatic inclusion of condiments. So they're still available, but they're on request. That saved them a lot of money. And the last is reverse. Change the order or the pattern or the layout or the plan. Do it backwards so that you look, and that often helps you to look at whatever you're doing in a different way as well. So sometimes reversing is a step in the process, and sometimes it results in a whole new product or idea. So that's fluency and flexibility. Before we move to elaboration and originality, we really need to look at how we perceive things. We have to check our own assumptions and perceptions. Those are the foundation of our thinking skills, and we have to have perceptions, we have to have biases, because that's how we, as pattern-making creations, get through life. But it really is important for us to check on those assumptions and question our perceptions at times. I hope you've enjoyed this session. Please continue to build your creative skills. Please feel free to go back to previous sessions and try them out, and join us next month for the next installment of The Creative Habit.